Hello, hello, hello. Inviting a few people who might be interested in tuning in. So I hope everyone's doing well tonight. It's a little bit early, so I wanted to have a little extra time to invite a few people. If you know of anyone that you think might be interested in this topic of prayers in disguise, or feeling like you have unanswered prayers, I'd love to have you share this with them, invite them to join us. We'll go ahead and oh, hey, Sunshine, yourself there. Rosemary, you're always the first one to hop on. That's so sweet. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get on tonight. We lost our power earlier. And, of course, I charged up my phone because of the storms in case the power went out. Hey, Christy. But I wanted to save my phone battery. But it looks like the storms have passed, so I'm not too concerned now. And I'm going to be short tonight because, again, there's a 9 o'clock live I want to hop on. But also because I don't think this is a topic I need to talk to death. I think just a couple of examples will make my point for me. Oh, the wind's barbaric down there, Rosemary. Boy, yeah, you all picked a crazy week to go to the beach, didn't you? I never cared, though, when I was at the beach. Just being there was always good for me. I was always happy just to be there. The beach is always my happy place. Oh, hi, Jim. Jim joined from Chantilly. Christy, hey. I'll just wait another minute or two to let a couple more people maybe hop on. How's everybody's Monday going so far? Mine's almost over, but hope everyone's had a good Monday and looking forward to a good week ahead. Oh, that was cool. It just popped over all by itself to show me who was on. Can't always see the notifications, as you all probably know if you've gone live. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started so I can not keep everybody on too long. And like I said, feel free to share this if you know of somebody. The topic is when your answered prayer is in disguise. And this is just something that I got thinking about over the weekend. When I've really had some time in between my jobs to, oh, thanks, Christy. Oh, that's right. I forgot about your phone situation. I'm so sorry. I'm glad you've got the Kindle at least. I've really valued this time, this bonus time, as I've been calling it, in between my jobs. And I'm trying to use the time to really think about things and get myself in a really good place before I start my new job. Because change is stressful anyway. And I just want to have everything, in as good a shape as it can be, but mainly I want mentally and spiritually, I want to be in a really good place. So I got to thinking about prayers and unanswered prayers, or what sometimes seems like unanswered prayers. We were so happy when we found out that we were going to be grandparents. It was just one of the dreams that we had, one of the things that we always just knew would make us so thrilled. And I can remember thinking, not that I was disappointed, but that I was thinking, oh man, at this point in life, the plan was for me to be able to be that grandma, the one that could always be there and that could babysit all the time and have a close relationship with our grandchildren and take them on vacations. And that's just, well, for one thing, we live 2 hours away, and it's not feasible for either of the families to relocate. But also I'm working full time. So, that's not what I thought I'd be doing when I had a granddaughter or grandchild. But Jim is not. Jim works full time, but he works for himself as an Uber and Lyft driver. So he has the flexibility of being able to take off when he wants to. And so the great thing is that if our daughter and son-in-law need help with childcare, or if they, whatever, need help taking care of their dogs or whatever they need us for, he's able to drop everything and go if he needs to. And I never felt jealous or anything like that of the time that he gets to spend. I mean, we got to see our granddaughter like every other weekend the first 3 or 4 months of her life. And that was wonderful. That was great. And we still see her very often. And I'm grateful that we, meaning, at least one of us, can go and help them out when they need it. That was my dream. I guess I was not being selfish, but I was only thinking of my dream, So what I realized recently was, we are living that dream because we're able to offer ourselves in service to our kids and to our granddaughter. And, is that exactly the way I thought it was going to look? No. But did it work out so that it was possible? Yes. So, I guess I have two alternatives in that situation. I can be resentful and kind of crabby that I'm not the one that gets to go and spend extra time, with our granddaughter. Or I can be grateful that we have a life that affords us the option that Jim can go do that. And so what I've chosen to do is be glad, be grateful. And I'm so grateful for the time I do have with her. And, we're all a really close family. So we see her a lot, even just for visits. So, that's just one example that came to mind of how I think so often when things don't turn out maybe the way we envision them, that we can feel like, well, God doesn't hear me. I've been praying that things would be a certain way, and things aren't a certain way. And so, my prayers aren't being answered. And we can get kind of bitter maybe about that. Another example that I had, and this is a really recent one, and I'm sure everybody can think of a situation, hopefully while I'm talking about this, can think of a situation in your own life where this was the case. A recent example is over the last few years, and several people have already heard this story several times. Over the last few years, a job that I really loved had become less and less desirable. And particularly over the last couple years, our company reorganized, and then our region reorganized, and things were just not that great. And for me, that was my opinion. And right before I went to my trip to Florida in February, things had kind of come to a head, and I was at a really low point about my job. And after 7 years, that was really disheartening. So luckily, while I was in Florida, I got my mojo back. I realized a lot of things. I reimagined a lot of things, started redreaming, which I hadn't done in a really long time. And so when I got home, I set out a plan to start looking for a new job. And long story short, a company called me. I had updated my profile on LinkedIn, and a company called me off of that profile. I really hadn't even started the job search. I had just gotten to the point where I was updating my credentials and my resume. And I interviewed for the job, and it was everything that I wanted. A lot more money, a fascinating job. I interviewed with 3 different people, an hour each. So it was a 3-hour job interview. And each time I just felt like, oh, this is great. I really like these people. It's a great company. They have values I believe in. And I just felt like I really meshed with everybody that I interviewed with. And a few days after the interview, it was confirmed that, oh, everybody just thought you were great and we'll be in touch. And so I didn't hear anything for a couple weeks, and it got to be long enough where I felt like, well, maybe I just didn't get the job. And then it was confirmed by the HR person that, oh, I want more adventure retreats too, Christy. It was confirmed that I was the top candidate. However, it was one of those. However, at the last minute, right before they were getting ready to offer me the job, an internal candidate expressed interest who was qualified for the position. So they did the right thing, which was, the smart thing, which was to fill the position with someone who was already in-house. So, I was disappointed. I really was, because like I said, it was a lot more money. It was a great job. And I mean, it was like a dream come true. And so when I didn't get the job, I think like I said, I wasn't devastated, but I was disappointed. And I was thinking, what is going on here? I have all this experience. I was applying for a lot of other jobs. And it went on for a few weeks, but what I was doing was applying for jobs that I normally wouldn't have applied for, because the position that I interviewed for was not, based on the title, is not one that I would have applied for. But because they had contacted me, I realized that I needed to broaden my search, and I did that, and recently interviewed for a position with a great company. The salary's not as much, but it's more than I was making, and the benefits are comparable, and I really believe in the work that the people are doing. And as I've reflected on all of this, it occurred to me that, what I thought was not an answer was really a preparation for an answered prayer, a great new job that I think I'm going to really enjoy. I was prepared for that by the grueling 3-hour interviewing that took place for that job. There really wasn't a question that they asked me in this last job interview that I hadn't been asked. So I was really prepared. I was really confident. And I felt really good about the interview. And they called me right away the next day to offer me the position. So that was confirmed. So that was an answered prayer. This job was the answered prayer. Not the one that I thought I was going to get, not the one that I really wanted. I was desperate to leave and get a new job. And so when it didn't happen, it would have been all too easy to say, somebody up there is not listening, but that wasn't true. Somebody up there was preparing me for what was to come. And so sometimes our unanswered prayers are really just that we need to just wait for that answer. We need to recognize that maybe we're being prepared for that answer, and for me, it really changing my focus about almost every area of my life recently, looking at situations that, are not the way I expected them to be, not the way I planned, not necessarily the way I want them to be, but are pretty darn good in a lot of ways. And so I can decide to be bitter and grouchy and resentful that everything's not perfect. I don't have the perfect house. I don't have the perfect life. I'm not a perfect person. But I'm so blessed. And I can look back when I do it with intention and see all the ways that prayers have been answered. Not necessarily in the way I thought they would be answered, but they've been answered. And so it's really all about attitude and about gratitude. And that's kind of the short and sweet of my musings tonight. I've really enjoyed having time to kind of get in my own head and, like I said, get myself in a good frame of mind for when I start my new job. I hope this was helpful for somebody tonight. The worst feeling in the world can be when you feel like you're not being heard, that you're not getting what you ask for. And a lot of times if we stop and think about it, we realize, oh, I ended up really getting more than I ever thought I would. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. It really means a lot to have people join in. If you know of anybody after listening that you think could use this message, please feel free to share it with them. And I hope you have a good rest of your Monday night and have a great week. And I will talk to you next Monday. Thanks, everybody.